I'm Sarah Mortensen, school counselor and mental health interventionist with the Student Behavioral Health and Wellness team at the Southern Oregon Education Service District. I am making this video in conjunction with Shelby Diaz, our school improvement specialist, and Sierra Ramirez, who's also a mental health interventionist. In this video, we're going to talk about the commonalities and differences in fear and anxiety. We're going to show you an activity you can do with your child to help them identify some of those symptoms of fear, anxiety, what that feels like in their body, and then some strategies to help them manage some of those emotions. And then finally, some tips for caregivers for when you might want to seek some additional help for your student. So when you hear the words fear and anxiety, what comes to mind? Many people think of those as the same thing. And while they're very similar, they also have some key differences as well. So Dr. Georgia Whitkin helps explain fear and anxiety as anxiety is our response to an unknown threat or uncertainty, and fear is our response to a real known threat or danger. In other words, when we can't predict what's coming next, our brain is wired to be prepared just in case. That's anxiety. So many years ago, it would be a common thing for a human to come upon a wild animal in their daily life. And they'd see that bear, and that triggers adrenaline. That helps us know, is this something to fight? Is this something to run from? And so that fight or flight response is really helpful. We need that. Essentially, we need to experience fear to keep us alive. And in today's world, it's not as common to come upon, say, a wild animal, but there's still plenty of things that elicit fear and trigger that adrenaline. And so those things are what help us make quick decisions in situations when that's needed. Fear really keeps us alive. It helps us survive. So what about anxiety? Anxiety comes into picture when someone experiences those feelings of danger and fear often, and sometimes when there's really not even a reasonable threat present. That can be their brain telling them, like, prepare for danger, and that situation may not even be dangerous at all. Anxiety is based in the future, so think of it like what might happen. That's where my anxiety is what could be happening, and that's what becomes very overwhelming. So experiencing fear and anxiety together and often can really interfere with someone's ability to just move forward with their daily life. It might impact a student's school performance. We often see that attendance can definitely be impacted. So the good news is we can learn to manage these feelings of anxiety and teach our children as well to do this. And so one way that some kids find helpful is to name their anxiety and talk to it in an effort to help control it. And so your child might refer to those anxious feelings as anxiety Bob or the bear. They should choose their name that they would like to call it and refer to it as, so that it feels personalized to them. And then you can teach them to talk to that anxiety Bob, for instance. Tell anxiety Bob, I appreciate you. You are there to protect me, but right now I don't think I need you. I need you to step back. Another thing that they could say is, I don't think I need to be protected right now, anxiety Bob. There's no danger. And really just personalizing that feeling, but telling that feeling what they want it to do. So Shelby's going to talk more about naming anxiety and the activity that's coming up and give you a little more detail on that. So you can also share with your child that anxiety is only a small part of them and their experience. It's not their whole being, right? And so something that you might say to your child is, anxiety is part of us. It's not all of us. It's a temporary feeling and it's meant to be helpful. And we can learn some ways to tame it or calm it down when it starts to just feel too big. And so helping them just kind of normalize it and feel as though they have some control in that feeling. And so I'm going to send it over to Shelby now to go into our activity.
Thank you, Sarah. Hi, I'm Shelby, an educator and part of the Student Behavioral Health and Wellness team with Sarah. And today, I want to share a simple but powerful way you can help your child understand and manage their anxiety by modeling it yourself first. We're going to talk about naming anxiety, externalizing it, and using a creative activity to help both you and your child recognize that anxiety is a part of us, not all of us. Before you introduce this to your child, take a moment to do the activity yourself. Grab a piece of paper and draw a simple outline of a body. Could look like a gingerbread shape or a blob that represents you. You can also print out the template that we've provided in the link below this video. Then ask yourself, where do I feel anxiety in my body? It could be your chest, it could be your stomach, it could be your shoulders. Mark those spots on your outline. You might even want to add a little color or texture or sometimes words, whatever feels right for you. Next to the body, you'll see a space that says, what does your anxiety look like? Now, here's where we get to be creative. Think of your anxiety as a character or a creature, something separate from you, but that you carry with you sometimes. Maybe your anxiety is like a buzzing bee that won't leave you alone. Or maybe it's like a heavy backpack that shows up when you're overwhelmed. You could give it a name, like Anxiety Bob, or call it something that would help you and your child talk about it without fear or shame. For example, today Anxiety Bob is creeping in and making my chest feel tight. I notice he shows up when my plate is too full. This is externalizing the anxiety. It gives it a name, a shape, and separates it from your identity. You're not an anxious person. You're a person who sometimes feels anxiety. Once you've done this for yourself, share your example with your child. Then let them see that it's okay to talk about these feelings. Say something like, hey, I did this drawing today of how my body feels when I get anxious. I even gave my anxiety a name, tiger thoughts, because it feels fast and a little scary sometimes to me. Then invite them to do the same activity with you. Reassure them that there's no wrong way to do this, that their anxiety might feel different from yours, and that's totally okay. Then let them draw their own body outline or help them or use the template. Help them name where it shows up in their body by asking some gentle questions like, what do you think your anxiety looks like? Does it have a name? When does it show up the most? When you model naming and noticing your own anxiety, you normalize this experience. You help your child develop emotional language, and you show that feelings are something we can observe and understand, not something we have to fear or hide. Remember, the goal isn't to make anxiety go away entirely. It's to build a relationship with it so that when it does show up, it's not so overwhelming. It's familiar, it's named, and manageable. So take a few minutes to try this yourself. Draw it, name it, and share it. You're not only helping your own emotional health, you're giving your child powerful tools to name, express, and navigate their inner world too. You've got this.
So a breathing technique you could do with your child would be cupcake breathing, and it is getting them to visualize, maybe even holding a pretend cupcake and taking a deep breath in to smell that frosting. You might talk with them in detail about what it smells like, what it looks like, taking the deep breath in, and then blowing the candle out. And this can be really helpful, especially for kind of those younger elementary students. Really, it can go up into high school, just depending on your child. This next one, the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique, is getting students to really pay attention to their senses. And so you would teach them this and guide them in this a couple times. And then the hope is that they would get comfortable with doing it on their own. And so 5 things you can see, and then you would pause, give them time to think about that. You name off those 5 things, and then 4 things you can touch, pause, let them, again, tell you what those are. 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. giving them kind of that slow down, okay, name those things to me, bringing them into the present moment, that can be so incredibly helpful to get more oxygen to their brain, to just give them a little bit of time to process, and then they can be more ready to discuss what's going on, to move on in their day. Of course, having a good support system can really be helpful in managing fears and anxieties. The fact that you're watching this video now, I want to commend you and thank you because this really will help your student. Um, so I'd like to also leave you though with some things to look for in the event that you might need to seek some additional help for your child. And so if you've tried strategies in this video and some others, and your child's still really experiencing emotional struggles that get in the way of their education, their social life, just other life functions, it might be time to seek out some additional resources and support, particularly if your child's struggling in school, like things, attendance, we see often. A student might say they have a stomach ache every morning. They might want to be picked up early and have a headache often. And those types of things can sometimes be symptoms of something, bigger going on. If they're avoiding doing things they used to enjoy, so hanging out with friends or participating in activities, those are some signs that you might need to be seeking some additional help. If your child's symptoms are impacting their daily life, you definitely should consider taking them to see their primary care doctor or potentially a mental health provider. You can reach out to your insurance provider, or you can call or go online to 211. They have a list of resources that are available to each, particular area. Um, as a reminder to everyone, if you or a loved one is experiencing a mental health crisis, 988 is available. That's a crisis and suicide helpline. You do not necessarily have to be in a suicidal state to utilize that resource. That can be you're needing someone to talk to, or you're really feeling some pretty big feelings, and so you or your child are able to access that 24 hours a day. 7 days a week, and so they are available to you. Again, thank you so much for taking time to watch the video, to try out these techniques and activities with your child. We hope that you also find some other videos on our website helpful, and we want to be here to support families and students in their wellness. So take care and stay well.